Are you ready for a thrilling adventure that will keep you on the edge of your seat? Chasing shadows, love and compassion in the face of danger. Follow the journey of a young man who must overcome the manipulation of a dangerous cult to save himself and his family. Like, share, and subscribe to stay up to date with the latest news and updates on gripping novels. Chapter 1: The Crying Baby. As the sun rose over the bustling city of Mumbai, Rohit's life changed forever. His wife had given birth to a beautiful baby girl, and he couldn't have been happier. He had always wanted to be a father and was looking forward to raising his daughter with his wife. But as he held his newborn daughter in his arms, something strange happened. She looked up at him with wide, knowing eyes and spoke her first words. "Grandma's in trouble," she said. Rohit was taken aback. How could a newborn baby talk? And who was she talking about? As he tried to make sense of what had just happened, his daughter began to cry. He handed her over to his wife, who immediately began to comfort her. But the baby's cries only grew louder and more insistent. And then, Rohit realized that she wasn't crying because she was hungry or tired. She was crying because something was wrong. Rohit knew that his mother, who was disabled and unable to speak, was living in a nursing home. Could she be the grandmother his daughter was talking about? And what kind of trouble could she be in? Rohit's mind raced as he tried to figure out what to do. He knew he had to get to the nursing home and check on his mother. But first, he had to calm his daughter down. As he held his daughter in his arms, he whispered soothing words to her, trying to calm her down. Finally, she stopped crying and fell asleep. Rohit knew that he couldn't ignore what his daughter had said. He had to find out what was going on with his mother, and he had to do it fast. Chapter 2: The Nursing Home. Rohit couldn't shake the feeling that something was terribly wrong. He knew he had to check on his mother, but he didn't want to leave his wife and daughter alone. He decided to call his brother, who lived nearby, and asked him to come over and watch the baby while he went to the nursing home. When he arrived, he was surprised to find that the nursing home was in disarray. The nurses seemed frazzled and overworked, and his mother's room was messy and unkempt. Rohit asked to see his mother, but the nurse on duty told him that she was sleeping and that he should come back later. But Rohit knew that something was wrong. He demanded to see his mother right away. When he entered her room, he was shocked to find her lying on the floor, unconscious. He immediately called for help, and the nurses rushed in to take care of her. Rohit stayed by his mother's side as the doctors examined her. They told him that she had suffered a stroke and that her condition was critical. Rohit felt overwhelmed. He couldn't believe that his mother was in such bad shape, and he didn't know what to do. He felt like he had failed her. As he sat by her bedside, he noticed a strange symbol on the wall. It was a circle with a line through it, and it seemed to be painted in blood. Rohit couldn't help but feel that there was something sinister going on in the nursing home. He vowed to find out what was going on and to protect his family from any danger. Chapter 3: The Mysterious Stranger. Rohit spent the next few days at the nursing home, watching over his mother as she fought for her life. He couldn't help but feel like he was being watched, like there was someone or something lurking in the shadows. One evening, as he was leaving the nursing home, he noticed a man watching him from across the street. The man was tall and lean, with piercing blue eyes and a scar on his cheek. Rohit felt uneasy, but he couldn't shake the feeling that he knew the man from somewhere. As he walked towards him, the man disappeared into the shadows. Rohit tried to put this strange encounter out of his mind, but he couldn't shake the feeling that the man was following him. He started to see him everywhere he went, lurking in the shadows and watching him from a distance. One day, as he was walking home from the nursing home, he felt a tap on his shoulder. He turned around to find the mysterious stranger standing behind him. "I've been watching you," the stranger said in a low, menacing voice. "You need to be careful. There are forces at work here that you cannot comprehend." Rohit was frightened, but he was also intrigued. Who was this stranger, and what did he know about the strange symbols and sinister happenings at the nursing home? "I don't understand," Rohit said. "What forces?" "The forces of darkness," the stranger replied. "There are those who would use your mother's disability to their advantage, to further their own nefarious ends." Rohit didn't know what to say. He was both scared and intrigued by the stranger's words. Who were these people, and what did they want from his family? Chapter 4: The Cryptic Message. Rohit couldn't shake the feeling that there was something sinister going on. He knew he had to find out what was going on before it was too late. One day, as he was going through his mother's things at the nursing home, he found a cryptic message scrawled on a piece of paper. It read, "They are coming for you. Beware the circle with a line through it." Rohit was puzzled. What did the message mean, and who had written it? He had a feeling that it was connected to the strange symbol he had seen on the wall of his mother's room. He decided to do some investigating of his own. He visited the library and spent hours poring over books on mythology and ancient symbols. He finally found what he was looking for. The symbol he had seen was the symbol for a powerful ancient goddess. Rohit felt like he was on the cusp of a breakthrough. He felt like he was getting closer to uncovering the truth behind the strange happenings at the nursing home. As he was leaving the library, he noticed the mysterious stranger from before, watching him from across the street. Rohit felt a chill run down his spine. He knew that he had to be careful. Chapter 5: The Break-In. Rohit's investigation had hit a roadblock. He couldn't find any concrete evidence of foul play at the nursing home, and the cryptic message he had found had only raised more questions than it had answered. One night, as he was asleep in his bed, he was jolted awake by the sound of breaking glass. He sat up and listened, but all he could hear was the sound of his own heartbeat. He slowly got out of bed and made his way to the living room. That's when he saw it. The window had been shattered, and there was broken glass scattered all over the floor. Rohit's heart raced. He knew that someone had broken in, but he didn't know who or why. He searched the house, but everything seemed to be in order. Nothing was missing, and there were no signs of a struggle. But then he noticed something strange. The only thing that was out of place was a photo of his mother that had been knocked over. It was a photo of her from when she was a young woman, and she was standing in front of a strange symbol that looked eerily similar to the one he had seen in the nursing home. Rohit felt like he was getting closer to the truth, but he didn't know what to do next. Chapter 6: The Secret Room. Rohit couldn't shake the feeling that someone was watching him. He knew that he had to find out who was behind the break-in and what they wanted. He decided to do some more investigating. He returned to the nursing home and started to ask around, trying to see if anyone had seen anything suspicious. That's when he met Ria, a nurse who had been working at the nursing home for years. She was hesitant to speak to him at first, but she eventually opened up. "There's something strange going on here," she said. "There's a room on the 3rd floor that no one is allowed to go into. I don't know what's in there, but I've heard rumors that it's where they keep the most dangerous patients." Rohit's heart raced. He knew that he had to see what was in that room. He waited until the night shift started, and then he snuck into the nursing home. He made his way to the 3rd floor and found the door to the secret room. It was locked, but he managed to pick the lock with a paperclip. What he found inside shocked him to his core. The room was filled with strange symbols and ritualistic objects. There was a book on the table that was open to a page with a picture of the same symbol that he had seen in his mother's photo. Rohit realized that he had stumbled upon something much bigger than he had ever imagined. He knew that he had to get out of there before he was caught. Chapter 7: The plot thickens. Rohit couldn't believe what he had seen in the secret room. He knew that he had stumbled upon something sinister, but he didn't know who was behind it or what their endgame was. He decided to do some more digging. He searched through his mother's things and found an old diary. As he read through it, he realized that his mother had been trying to warn him about something. "She's coming for you," she had written. "You must be careful. They are not what they seem." Rohit didn't know who she was, but he had a feeling that it was connected to the strange symbol he had been seeing everywhere. He returned to the nursing home and spoke to Rhea again. She told him that there had been a patient at the nursing home who had been involved with a dangerous cult. They had been performing rituals and sacrifices in secret, and they had been using the symbol that Rohit had seen. Rohit realized that this was bigger than just his mother's nursing home. He knew that he had to go to the authorities and tell them what he had uncovered. But before he could do that, he was confronted by the mysterious stranger from before. The man revealed himself to be a member of the cult, and he warned Rohit to stay out of their affairs. Rohit refused to be intimidated. He knew that he had to do whatever it takes to stop the cult from causing any more harm. Chapter 8: The Final Warning. Rohit couldn't shake the feeling of unease that had settled over him. He knew that he was getting closer to the truth, but he didn't know what to do next. He decided to try and track down the other members of the cult. He searched through old records and finally found a lead. He discovered that one of the members of the cult had been living in a nearby town. He decided to pay them a visit and see if they could provide him with any more information. When he arrived at the house, he was met with hostility. The cult member told him to leave and threatened him with violence if he didn't. Rohit refused to be intimidated. He knew that he had to keep pushing until he found the truth. That's when he received a final warning. A strange man approached him on the street and told him to stop investigating. He warned Rohit that if he continued, he would be putting himself and his family in danger. Rohit knew that he couldn't back down now. He had come too far to stop now. Chapter 9: The Trap. Rohit's investigation had taken a dangerous turn. He knew that he was getting too close to the truth, but he didn't know how to protect himself and his family. He decided to set a trap for the members of the cult. He knew that they wouldn't be able to resist the temptation of completing their ritual, so he decided to use that to his advantage. He made arrangements to have a fake ritual performed in a secluded area outside of town. He invited the cult members to join him, promising that they would be able to complete their ritual in peace. Rohit watched from a distance as the cult members arrived. He saw them perform the ritual and was horrified by what he saw. He knew that he had to act fast. He called the police and told them everything he had uncovered. They arrived just in time to catch the cult members in the act. The cult members were arrested, and Rohit finally felt like justice had been served. But he knew that he would never be able to forget the horrors he had witnessed. Chapter 10: The Aftermath. With the cult members arrested, Rohit thought that his nightmare was finally over. But he couldn't shake the feeling that something was still wrong. He decided to visit his mother's nursing home again to see if he could find any more information. That's when he discovered that his mother's doctor had been involved with the cult. Rohit was horrified. He couldn't believe that someone who was supposed to be taking care of his mother had been involved in such a terrible organization. He reported the doctor to the authorities and watched as he was arrested. It was a bittersweet victory for Rohit. He knew that justice had been served, but he also knew that his life would never be the same. As he left the nursing home, he saw a figure watching him from across the street. He couldn't make out who it was, but he had a feeling that it was one of the remaining members of the cult. Rohit knew that he had to stay vigilant. He had uncovered a dangerous organization, and he had made enemies in the process. But he also knew that he couldn't live his life in fear. He drove home, determined to start a new chapter in his life. Chapter 11: The Blackmail. Rohit sat in his living room, trying to relax after the ordeal he had been through. His daughter was playing on the floor beside him, but he couldn't focus on anything but his thoughts. Suddenly, his phone rang. He answered it, expecting it to be one of his friends or family members checking on him. But the voice on the other end of the line was one that he never expected to hear again. "Hello, Rohit," the voice said. Rohit felt his blood run cold. It was the voice of the man who had warned him to stop investigating the cult. "Who are you?" Rohit asked, trying to keep his voice steady. "I'm the one who warned you to stop," the man said. "And it seems like you didn't listen. What do you want?" Rohit asked. "I want to make a deal," the man said. "I know things about you that could ruin your life. But I'm willing to keep them secret if you promise to stop investigating the cult." Rohit was torn. He didn't want to put his family in danger, but he couldn't let the cult members get away with what they had done. "I can't promise that," Rohit said. "I need to see this through to the end." "Then you leave me no choice," the man said. "I'll make sure that everyone finds out about your secrets." Rohit hung up the phone, feeling more helpless than ever. He knew that he was being blackmailed, but he didn't know what to do next. Chapter 12: The Escape Plan. Rohit couldn't sleep that night. He knew that the man on the phone had the power to ruin his life, and he couldn't shake the feeling of dread that had settled over him. But as he lay there, thinking, an idea started to form in his mind. Maybe there was a way out of this. The next day, he went to visit his friend Anil. Anil was a computer expert and had helped Rohit with his investigation in the past. Rohit told Anil everything that had happened, including the blackmail attempt. Anil listened carefully, then nodded. "I think I can help," he said. "But it's going to take some time." Rohit felt a glimmer of hope. Maybe there was a way out of this after all. Over the next few weeks, Anil worked tirelessly to create a fake identity for Rohit. They used their knowledge of the cult's practices to make it look like Rohit had joined them. It wasn't a perfect plan, but it was the best they could come up with. Rohit knew that he was taking a risk, but he felt like he had no other choice. He sent an anonymous email to the man who had tried to blackmail him, pretending to be a new recruit. The man replied, setting up a meeting in a deserted warehouse. Rohit went to the meeting, his heart pounding in his chest. But when he arrived, he saw that the man was alone. Rohit knew that this was his chance. He pulled out his phone and hit record. "I have evidence of everything," Rohit said. "If you ever try to blackmail me again, I'll turn it over to the police." The man's face went white with fear. He knew that he had been caught. Rohit left the warehouse, feeling like he had just escaped a trap. He knew that he wasn't completely safe yet, but he had taken a step in the right direction. Chapter 13, The Final Showdown. Rohit and Anil continued to work together to gather more evidence against the cult. They knew that they were getting close to the truth, but they didn't know what would happen when they finally uncovered it. One day, as Rohit was leaving his office, he saw a car parked outside. It was the same car that he had seen at the warehouse where he had met the blackmailer. Rohit's heart started racing. He knew that he was being followed. He started walking, trying to stay calm. But as he turned a corner, he felt someone grab him from behind. He struggled to break free, but the person was too strong. They dragged him into a nearby alley, where two more men were waiting. Rohit recognized them as members of the cult. They had come to silence him. But Rohit was ready. He had taken self-defense classes and was prepared to fight back. He managed to knock one of the men to the ground, but the other two were still coming at him. Just as he thought he was going to be overpowered, he heard a loud screeching noise. A car had pulled up beside them, and Anil had jumped out. Anil had brought some of his friends, who were also trained in self-defense. They quickly took down the remaining attackers and helped Rohit to his feet. Rohit felt a surge of gratitude towards his friend. Without Anil's quick thinking, he might not have made it out alive. The next day, Rohit and Anil went to the police with all of the evidence that they had gathered. The cult was finally exposed, and its leaders were arrested. Rohit felt a sense of relief wash over him. He had been through a lot, but he had come out on the other side. As he looked at his daughter playing beside him, he felt grateful for the life he had. It wasn't perfect, but it was his, and he was going to do everything in his power to protect it. Chapter 14, The Aftermath. Rohit had a lot to process after the events of the past few weeks. He had gone through a terrifying experience, but he had also come out of it with a newfound appreciation for his life. He spent more time with his daughter, taking her on outings and playing with her in the park. He felt like he had been given a second chance, and he wasn't going to waste it. But even as he tried to move on, he couldn't shake the feeling that someone was still watching him. He kept looking over his shoulder, worried that someone from the cult would try to get revenge. One day, as he was walking down the street, he saw a man staring at him from across the road. Rohit recognized him as one of the cult's followers. Rohit's heart started pounding. He didn't know what to do. But then he remembered something that Anil had told him. The best way to deal with fear is to face it head-on. Rohit took a deep breath and started walking towards the man. The man didn't move, but as Rohit got closer, he saw a glint of fear in his eyes. "What do you want?" Rohit asked. The man hesitated, then spoke. "I just wanted to say that I'm sorry. I didn't know what they were really doing. I thought they were just a harmless group." Rohit felt a pang of sympathy for the man. He knew that the cult had preyed on people's vulnerabilities, and this man was just one of their victims. "I forgive you," Rohit said. "But you need to turn yourself in. You need to take responsibility for what you've done." The man nodded, then turned and walked away. Rohit felt a sense of closure as he watched him go. He knew that he couldn't change the past, but he could control his own future. Chapter 15, A New Beginning. Rohit had finally put the events of the past few weeks behind him. He felt like he had grown as a person, and he was ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. He had even started writing a book about his experience, hoping that it would help others who had gone through similar situations. One day, as he was working on his book, he heard a knock at the door. It was Anil. "Hey, Rohit," Anil said, smiling. "I have some good news. I just got a promotion at work." Rohit felt genuinely happy for his friend. "That's great, Anil. You deserve it." Anil's smile faltered a bit. "There's just one catch. The job is in another city." Rohit felt a sudden sense of loss. Anil had been his rock through everything that had happened, and he didn't know how he would manage without him. But then he remembered something that Anil had told him before. Change is scary, but it's also an opportunity for growth. Rohit took a deep breath. "You should take the job, Anil. It's a great opportunity for you." Anil looked relieved. "Thanks, Rohit. I was worried that you would be upset." Rohit smiled. "I'll miss you, but I know that we'll always be friends. And who knows, maybe this will be the start of a new adventure for both of us." Anil grinned. "You're right, Rohit. Let's see what the future holds." As Anil walked out the door, Rohit felt a sense of excitement. He didn't know what the future held, but he was ready to find out. He picked up his pen and started writing again, smiling as he thought about all the possibilities that lay ahead. Epilogue, A New Perspective. Several years had passed since the events that had changed Rohit's life forever. He had published his book, which had become a bestseller, and had become a sought-after speaker on the topic of cults and brainwashing. He had also met someone new. A woman named Mira who shared his love for adventure and learning. They had married and started a family together. Rohit felt truly happy and fulfilled. He had been through a lot, but he had come out stronger on the other side. One day, as he was out for a walk with his daughter, he saw a man handing out flyers on the street. The man was talking to people about his religious organization and encouraging them to join. Rohit felt a twinge of anger. He remembered all too well the danger that such groups could pose. But then he looked at his daughter, who was looking up at him with wide eyes. He realized that he had a new perspective on life. Instead of feeling anger and fear, he felt compassion for the man. He knew that the man was probably just trying to find meaning in his life, just like Rohit had been. He walked up to the man and spoke to him kindly, trying to understand his point of view. The man listened, and they ended up having a long conversation about their different beliefs. As Rohit walked away, he felt a sense of peace. He knew that he couldn't change the world, but he could make a difference in his own small way. He looked at his daughter again, and saw the world through her innocent eyes. He realized that life was full of unexpected twists and turns, but as long as he had love and compassion in his heart, he could handle anything that came his way. The end.